So first, I'm very glad to be invited here and to speak and to open this session today. I have the hard work to do a sweet wake-up briefing to identify what should be discussed during the day. For me, that's easy. I begin with the title of the summit. It's from hybrid security to global defense, but I will go through this subject with a military perspective and a cyber commander perspective. So first, I would like to precise what is for us the new general framework. It was before peace, crisis, war. It was quite clear. Now we are more, and that's what our Trod mentioned since 2021, we are now in a competition, dispute, confrontation. Competition corresponds to a form of war before the war and takes place in all domains, whether they are diplomatic, informational, military, economic, legal, technological, industrial, and cultural. When a stakeholder decides to trespass the commonly accepted rules, competition turns into dispute. It is just before the war. Confrontation happens when a stakeholder deciding to push his advantage forward and persistently using the force to reach his objective provokes then an equal reaction. So that's behind that what we name hybrid, because you can have all this competition, dispute, confrontation at the same time, simultaneously, and in different domains. It integrates two main trends to keep in mind, and difficult to pronounce in English, sorry for my accent, so threshold and digitization. The notion of threshold is very important. It is at the heart of this triptych I mentioned before. The main stake is to preserve national strategic interests while keeping the escalation under control up to confrontation if necessary. The massive digitization, you already know, of the society and the armies is the key factor of these changes. It concerns all domains impacting all kinds of population and institutions. Digital links everybody, everywhere, and everything now. Each society is now reliant on digital. Digitizing provide indeed numerous benefits, but also in a military approach, new challenges and risks and threats. It opens fight and or battle space into cyber, information, and electromagnetic spectrum. It opens new kind of attacks and also attacks, a lot of attacks under the famous threshold. Cyber threat has become central in the evaluation of risk and threats to the society. After this point on the framework, I would like to mention for sure the Ukrainian conflict. That's a real turnover in the European states' perspective on defense. I will not be exhaustive on this conflict. There is a lot of lesson learned. I already expressed it in other presentations. I would just want to focus on what is quite new, on what drives to the need of a global defense. I mentioned the hybrid threat. Now we go to the conception of the global defense due to two main things. The first is the traditional distinction have been blurred. The war in Ukraine is a concrete example of how the distinction between military and civil, between private and public sector, between national and international matters are totally blurred nowadays. It is clearly illustrated by the mobilization of international digital firms during the beginning of Ukrainian war. The duality of cyberspace, both private companies and state entities sharing same space, is making a new counterpower against or in support to official state policies. The introduction of the private sector, therefore, changes the geopolitics actors of this conflict. Additionally, Ukrainian war is also a relevant illustration of what we name multi-domain operation. In French, we say M2MC. I will precise that later. It introduces the effects of cyber in the military maneuver by shaping the battlefield and beyond the national fighting spirit. It relies on mechanisms that contribute to erode capabilities, physical but also psychological, and to hinder the well-functioning of targeted socio-technical or socio-political systems. The cyber weapon is integrated among military maneuver. Cyber intelligence has its initial part of cyber course of action for shaping. Moreover, in Ukraine, cyber attack increased a few hours before the beginning of the Russian invasion. Non-kinetic actions were synchronized with kinetic ones. You have the example of the neutralization of CASAT, the communication satellite system. That's the only big success they had because Ukrainian had already a big defense and also a few private companies that were supporting them. So after a few months, we had a lot of cyber attacks behind that. You remember Kyivstar or attacks on mobile phones. So it's a kind of permanent war. Moreover, from the soldiers to the politics, informational warfare is a crucial issue in the strategy of both Russian and Ukrainian. Each soldier is now a sensor and an effector in the information war. This information has emerged as a crucial challenge for the military sector. Information warfare takes form diversely through fake news, biased content, or through use of social networks, and the actors of such campaigns can be various states, terrorist groups, criminal organizations, activists. The mechanism can provoke operational, political, or social friction or weaken the cohesion as well as functional or decisional paralysis. That's a perfect illustration of hybrid attacks. So, what does it mean for us as a military and as a cyber commander? So, it demonstrates for us the accuracy of the MDO, multi-domain operations approach, and behind that, the main role of cyber in military maneuver. M2MC, French equivalent to multi-domain operation, relies on the multi-domain principle. Indeed, it includes 5 domains and 2 fields. That's quite conceptual, but that's important. The 3 traditional domains are, land, sea, air. And now we have 2 new ones, space and cyberspace. And we identify also in France 2 fields, electromagnetic field and also informational field. In Cybercom in France, we are in charge of cyber, this domain, and also we are contributing a lot for informational warfare and also for more and more for electronic warfare, spectrum surveillance. The integration of cyber up to the tactical level is a challenge to which France prepares itself with military exercises, such as Orion 2023, which aimed to test our capabilities to achieve such integration. For this time, the Orion exercises has integrated informational operation to its training. During the last phase of the training, the armies have established a fictional digital and informational environment in order to create a realist and immersive experience for the different units. A simulation of offensive cyber operation has been made with an attack on a main weapon system to illustrate the threat, and a lot of vignettes played to involve defensive cyber rapid reaction teams in coordination with private companies supporting specific information or weapon systems. The objective was to train the whole commanding chain to maneuver in informational and to integrate them to the global strategy. Next year, for Orion 26, we will have cyber electromagnetic stress. The training Orion 26 should highlight even more the difficulty linked to the use of networks and information systems. The ComCyber has defended the idea of an exercise that would, for example, show the immobilization of military vehicles, frigates, following a cyber attack. Moreover, since summer 2024, the ComCyber is in charge of electronic warfare to ensure coherence and harmonization on these capacities. Cyber and electronic warfare are part of the same continuum and are very complementary on the ground. That's for the military perspective, because synchronization with all these domains is very difficult, so we should practice it a lot to integrate. I think now we have not so bad level for that in France, but training is always important, because all the courses of action in cyber and electronic warfare is changing every day. So behind that, what we should do and what we are working on is acting as ecosystem. We face a crucial need of interagency, private, public, and international cooperation. That's also why I'm here today. Interagency organization, that's a coordination between agency and public entities. It has been established and reinforced. In France, we have the Cyber Crisis Coordination Center, the C4. This is an interagency structure in charge of threat analysis and information sharing between public entities and experts. In the last couple of years, the pertinence of this structure was revealed and confirmed during the Paris Olympic Games to prevent any efficient cyber attack. I should say that's a success for us, and we are very proud of this C4, because when I compare to all the cyber commanders, that's already something built in France. We should do more, for sure. That's never finished. But that is already a first step established. The private partnerships. To build an effective and cyber resilience, it is critical to create a cyber community of trust that facilitates the exchange and sharing of information. The Ukrainian crisis war has shown the importance of private sector in the construction of an efficient cyber defense. To achieve such bridge between public and private sector, exchange fora are necessary. In the military sector, in 2019, the Ministry of Armies co-signed a cyber convention with 8 representatives of the French defense industry. The convention has been built on a voluntary basis. The objective was to build a mutual trust outside a constraining frame such as lawful or commercial one. Some other initiative has been established to create ecosystem mixing public and private sectors in cyber. The Pôle d'Excellence Cyber, a kind of cyber center of excellence, aims to develop the French cyber defense ecosystem by concentrating the expertise on innovative strengths of manufacturers, SMEs, startups, and schools in the French Brittany region. And the Campus Cyber here in Paris, in Défense, brings together the main national and international players in cybersecurity, including companies, large industrial groups, and SMEs. To achieve this, the ComCyber aims to work closely with industrial groups, SMEs, associative and academic world in 4 main areas: data and information sharing, capability and innovation support, reserves, collaboration with academics. The rapidity of technological evolution in cyber involves necessarily to accelerate capabilities program in order to be able to ensure agility and flexibility. Technological structures must thus absolutely be taken into account, and partnerships with the different firms and startups boosting innovation must be ensured and reinforced. Last but not least, international partnerships. Reinforcing partnerships with various allies as well as creating new ones has been a major objective since 2022 for the ComCyber. International cooperation has to keep being developed. Bilateral cooperation first. Cooperation can be developed centered on defensive tools such as trainings, information exchange, on trade, and good habits. The ComCyber has developed tailored cyber partnerships, long-term partnerships consisting of supporting armed forces of a partner state in the development of their cyber capacities and phases of response of incident. One of our main objectives was also to create a kind of European pillar. The renewing of the world order, as well as the American shift of interest from Europe to Indo-Pacific, are revealing of the necessity to reinforce European resilience. Since 2022, France has pushed towards an empowerment of Europe in the cyberspace through initiatives such as Cybercom, meeting of European cyber commanders. You know, always, just to mention that, to find the right guy to exchange in another country is already a challenge. So that was a big challenge to find the right cyber commander because each country has a different structure. It could be in J6 in some countries. It could be Cybercom. It could be not always in the Ministry of Defense. So that was already difficult. So we have connected all these cyber commanders now. So behind the Cyberco, we have also MICNET, Military Cyber Cooperation for Emergency. That's more technical exchanges. Cyclone Network for coordinated management of incidents. And the diplomacy cyber toolbox. Cyber toolbox. This year, the Cyberco was organized by the Ministry of Defense of Poland and took place in Warsaw at the end of March with the participation of 26 cyber commanders. On these solid foundations, it is essential to keep as a priority strategic solidarity as well as information sharing. The French armies adopted a proactive position on this subject in their European relation. International cooperation is necessary because cyberspace knows no borders between military and civilians, but also between each country. It also allows to better identify allied and enemy actors within the network. Because the cyber threat can be discrete, it is important to share information to facilitate the exposure of enemy operations that may be detected late. In conclusion, this period of time it is at acceleration, innovation, and cooperation. The ComCyber has reinforced its position and drawn the lessons of the last decade, but there are still numerous challenges that call to reinvent ourselves, to decide, and mostly to act in order to be ready. Thanks for your attention.